Watching Photolearningism. Wanted to dip our toes in the water for doing some visual effects. I know that we briefly brushed concepts of doing compositing in other videos with Natron and other things. I want to go a little bit deeper and explore the concept of masking. We've kind of looked at it in terms of photography. Videos get kind of tricky though, because you're dealing with things in motion and the multimedia experience. So let's do that and start that off right now. All right, so once again, I'm Nate. This is Photolearningism. Thank you so much for joining in. If this is your first time joining, I do a lot of work on this channel to build a community of learning by surfacing the cheap or free art technologies that are out there so that you can know about them and make good use of them, and so that we can talk about them and find out the best uses also as well. This is a community effort, so thank you for being here. I want to look specifically today at doing masking in KDEnlive. This is a simple example of doing it in a nonlinear video editor. It will get you only to a certain point. When we jump into the workspace here, wow, I don't look that excited there. It will get you to the point where you can apply this concept, and I'd say it is effective in a limited sense here in KDEnlive. You can go a little bit deeper with this same idea in things like Natron and other compositing tools that are more node focused. But for here, this will work, and this will certainly have a powerful effect for doing simple masking techniques. So you can kind of learn it here and then take it with you in other places. I'd like to explore Natron because that one's a good one too, but we're going to explore with the basic concept and start with that. So in KDEnlive, I've done some pre-video here, and so you can understand what I'm working with. I have my top layer, which has a very unexcited picture of myself. Wow, okay. And below that, let me see if I can hide that for a minute. I have a picture of me bending over so that you see the background. You can see the tip of my arm right there. So the reason being is that we want a shot with me and then a shot of some background. And really the idea of the effect here is that I'm going to try to mask out my head and kind of make me look like I'm floating here without a head. So let's work on that premise. Very simple idea. Let's re-enable that. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to get the rotoscoping effect. That's under compositions here, effects, under alpha transform and the rotoscoping. And I'm going to drop that on my top layer, and you may have to actually click it once just in case, because that brings over the effect properties over here. Just drag this out a little bit. Now, we've discussed this in other videos, but this piece right here is essentially the width of the clip that you're working with. So as you drag this, you can see how it kind of plays through the span of the clip that I have. So equate that to that. That's important because that gives us the ability of where we put keyframes and things as my head moves. Okay? So starting at frame 1, it gave us a brief instruction in case you missed it. We use the left mouse button to start off with points, and then when we're all done, the last point that completes the shape is a right click. That's what it says. So I'm not going to be too concerned about getting this perfect because again, I'm just tracking my head. I don't have to be right on the shape. You may have to be more precise if you're going to be isolating something and parts of the background matter except for that. All right. So there's my head. Now, initially you're probably asking, well, where's the rest of your body? I thought the idea was to get rid of the head. Well, what we can do here is in the effect properties, you have the invert checkbox, and that actually flips it around, where initially it's assuming that you want what's inside that shape, that mask. In this case, we want everything outside the shape. So inverting does that. All right. Now, from here, this is really just a simple process of finding where my head is going to maybe move and dance around a little bit. Okay, there's some frames there. So let's just use the arrow keys. I'm going to back up here, and we're going to make some keyframes. So I'm going to step a few frames in here, and we're going to add a keyframe with the plus button. And then I'm going to take my shape and manipulate this a little bit. And it should create the frames in between, by the way. I don't have to do every frame. All right, and again, I don't have to be super precise here because the background is the same. I'm not really working with too many different complexities here. But if we back up, we can actually see how the shape will morph according to what I've told it to do. It builds those keyframes for me in between, which is really cool. So I do move my head. There we go again. The other way. So I'm going to do the same thing as we get to that point. As we work with that, it looks like I haven't moved it far enough over here. So let's make some adjustments there. I need to get some more keyframes in place here. And by the way, these work, I believe the term is Beziers, where you can click and drag these anglers to fine-tune the angle of the actual shape, which is pretty cool. A lot of flexibility there. All right, so let's back up here. We can see that working. See how we're doing here. Okay, yeah, I missed a little bit there. Just want to try to make sure we get a good sense of the effect. I'm going to add another keyframe there. We're going to drag this out. Some of this is going to seem a little repetitious, and I'll probably actually stop after this one because I think we've gotten enough of the idea here. All right. All right, so if we roll back and we watch what we've done, you can see my shape is moving according to those keyframes that I've created, and really that does the job. All right. So that in principle means that I've just erased my head. Let's go ahead and export that. Use the MP4. Missing head test 1. Why not? And render that out. This is done. I'm going to bring over the video that we have cooked up here, and let's see. There we go. Now, you may have noticed that there's a little bit of difference from what I masked out and from the shadows. There is a little bit of variance today in, you can even see it here. There's a little bit of variance with the light kind of coming in and out of the windows today. So that changes my shadows ever so slightly, even between the two quick cuts that I did. You'd want to shoot this particular kind of idea in a very controlled environment to get that really precise, or do it at night, you know, where it's already dark and you have your lights and it's just, you have what you have. It's not going to change. So under those conditions, you get the idea. But in any case, yeah, this is a really simple way of masking things out in KDEnlive. And KDEnlive, as I mentioned before, is an open source free tool. We've done a lot of videos on that. I'd encourage you to go check those out. Again, simple concept, but very powerful if you use it creatively. And I hope that knowledge is beneficial to you. If this concept resonated with you, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing so you don't miss out on the other awesome ideas that we'll be getting to in the future. I do want to explore this same idea in Natron. I took a quick look. It's a little more complex than this, and I got to iron out the pieces, and I want to make sure that I'm giving you the best information I can on that. So that's coming. Stay tuned. Again, with comments, I mention it every time. Please join in the comments, and not just for me. It's not for me to look for a pat on the back, well, that's nice, but I want to build the conversation, build the community among us all, because it's important to me to see us helping each other and growing in our knowledge of these different fantastic tools that are out there. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again. And like always, more videos, check them out. They're awesome. Thanks.